Gas is sky high, crime scenes are now everyday backdrops and entire neighborhoods feel like they've been forgotten by time. It's not just one street or one city. It's spreading. States that once promised the American dream are now delivering something closer to a slow-motion collapse. So what's really going on? Why are families fleeing, businesses closing, and entire communities unraveling? Could your state be next? Stay sharp, because these aren't just warning signs. These are sirens, and in 2025 these 10 U.S. states have crossed the line from struggling to flat out dangerous. Let's break down where you should think twice before setting foot. Number 10. Louisiana. Homicide capital, vanishing coastline, and a crumbling healthcare system. Let's not sugarcoat it. Louisiana is in crisis. It leads the U.S. in homicide rates again. The coastline is literally disappearing into the Gulf of Mexico, and hospitals across the state are shutting down emergency rooms at a time when violence and natural disasters are surging. In New Orleans, the murder rate is higher than that of some war zones. Streets once filled with jazz and celebration now echo with police sirens and community fear. In Baton Rouge, carjackings and gun violence are part of the daily routine, and the saddest part, for some people calling 911 doesn't guarantee help. Departments are overwhelmed and understaffed. Now picture this: a hurricane makes landfall. Entire towns are underwater in hours, but here's the twist. Many of these places were already sinking before the storm. Louisiana loses a football field worth of land every 100 minutes. That's not a metaphor, that's real ground gone forever. So what happens when rising crime meets rising seas? Insurance companies have started pulling out, labeling cities too risky to cover. Families are being forced to choose between rebuilding in danger zones or leaving behind generations of history. Meanwhile, local hospitals, especially in rural areas, are vanishing. More than a dozen healthcare facilities have closed or reduced services since 2020. In some areas, a heart attack could mean a 2-hour drive just to find help. Ask yourself this: if you can't call the police, can't get medical care, and can't trust the land beneath your feet, is that really a place to build a life? We're not here to scare you. We're here to warn you. Number 9. New Mexico. Sky-high crime, vanishing police, and deadly drug corridors. Drive through Albuquerque today and you'll see it. Businesses boarded up, sirens in the distance, and streets that locals rush to leave before nightfall. New Mexico has the highest violent crime rate in America, 749 per 100,000 residents. Carjackings, homicides, and armed robberies aren't just headlines anymore. They're daily reality now. Here's the part no one talks about. Police are quitting in record numbers in 2024. Dozens of departments reported staff shortages so severe they couldn't respond to all 911 calls. So what happens when the crime keeps climbing and the people paid to stop it vanish? Even worse. New Mexico sits at a major crossroads for drug trafficking routes. That means powerful cartels, fentanyl floods, and a rising death toll add in underfunded schools and decaying infrastructure. And you've got a state running on fumes. Is New Mexico still a place to build a future, or just survive the fallout? Number 8, Arkansas. One of the highest violent crime rates, collapsing healthcare access, and towns gripped by drug wars. There's a growing fear in Arkansas, and it's not just in the big cities. In places like Pine Bluff, Little Rock, and even small rural communities, gunshots have replaced church bells. Arkansas now ranks among the top 5 most violent states in America, with over 620 violent crimes per 100,000 people, carjackings, home invasions, random shootings, and here's the terrifying part. It's not isolated anymore. At the same time, dozens of rural hospitals have shut down or scaled back, creating massive medical deserts. Entire counties now have no emergency care at all. A stroke or car accident in the wrong zip code, you're driving hours if you survive the ride, and fueling it all is the meth and fentanyl epidemic ripping through the state with no mercy. Drug corridors stretch from county to county, overwhelming small-town law enforcement and shattering families. Sheriffs have admitted they're outgunned, outmanned, and barely holding the line, so here's the question. What happens when your safety net is gone, when the ER is shuttered, the nearest cop is an hour away, and the local high school has metal detectors, but still no math teacher? You don't just lose a community. You lose the foundation for a future. It wasn't always like this. Arkansas was once known for its natural beauty, hospitality, and affordable living. But now residents are packing up and leaving, especially young professionals and families. They're fleeing for safety, for opportunity, and for stability. They no longer believe they can find it home, so if you're considering Arkansas as a place to move or invest in 2025, look past the pretty landscapes and ask, can a state this broken still offer the American dream? Number 7. Colorado. Skyrocketing crime, wildfire hellscapes, and cities choking under drug chaos. Yes, Colorado, the same state once praised for its booming economy and natural beauty, is now making headlines for all the wrong reasons. In 2025, Denver is one of the top cities in America for car theft and drug overdoses. Property crimes are out of control, and fentanyl has become the invisible killer, sweeping through neighborhoods, and it doesn't stop there. Colorado is now a wildfire hotspot. Massive blazes are starting earlier, burning hotter, and getting closer to homes. Thousands have been forced to evacuate. Insurance companies, pulling out. How long can a state survive? When homes are burning, streets aren't safe, and addiction is swallowing entire communities. We're just getting started, and if you want more raw, real breakdowns like this, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and share this video. It helps us keep bringing you the truth. Others won't. Let's keep going. The next state gets even darker. Number 6. Oklahoma. Tornado terror, failing infrastructure, and a silent mental health crisis. If you think Oklahoma's biggest problem is just bad weather, you're missing the full storm. Yes, it still sits in the heart of Tornado Alley, averaging over 60 tornadoes per year. But in 2025, the state is being slammed by something far more dangerous, a full-blown collapse of public safety, healthcare, and infrastructure systems. All at once, roads are cracking, hospitals are vanishing, and mental health services barely hanging on. Rural highways across the state are crumbling due to years of neglected maintenance, making entire regions difficult to reach during emergencies, and with natural disasters striking harder and faster than ever, that delay could be the difference between life and death. Here's what few people are willing to say out loud. Oklahoma ranks near the bottom nationally in both mental health support and suicide prevention. Over the last year, suicide rates among teens and veterans have surged, while funding for treatment centers continues to be slashed in some areas. There's not a single therapist for 100 miles. The result: broken families, broken communities, and people suffering in silence. So here's the question. What happens when disaster hits a state already falling apart from the inside? Add in a rising rate of poverty, teacher shortages, and some of the worst education outcomes in the country. And you've got a place where hope is drying up fast. Teachers are fleeing the profession, parents are homeschooling, not by choice, but out of desperation, and despite boasting oil wealth, large portions of the population are struggling just to pay bills. It's no longer just about whether Oklahoma can handle another tornado. The bigger question is whether the state can survive the next decade before we move to the next state. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, hit the like button and share this video. If you know someone in Oklahoma or someone thinking of moving there, we're breaking down the truth most people ignore, and what comes next might shock you even more. Let's keep going. The next danger zone, it's flooding with risk. Literally. Number 5, Tennessee. Exploding violent crime, a broken prison system, and cities spiraling into chaos. Memphis just broke a record, and not the kind anyone wants. In early 2025, it became one of the most dangerous cities in America, with carjackings, robberies, and murders all spiking at once. Nashville. Right behind it. In fact, Tennessee ranks in the top 5 states for violent crime nationwide, but the chaos on the streets is just the beginning. Here's the part that should worry every parent, homeowner, and business owner. Tennessee's prison system is collapsing, guards are walking off the job, facilities are overcrowded, underfunded, and barely functioning. And when inmates escape or when dangerous, individuals are released early because there's no room. You can guess where they end up: right back in your neighborhood. So what happens when the streets aren't safe, the jails can't hold anyone, and the police can't keep up? You get a state teetering on the edge, and it's not just crime. The education system is in freefall, ranking near the bottom nationally in test scores, graduation rates, and teacher retention. In cities like Chattanooga and Jackson, parents are pulling their kids out of public schools entirely because classrooms are overcrowded, underfunded, and in some cases unsafe. Add to that a growing opioid crisis that's left first responders stretched thin. Fentanyl overdoses are claiming lives every single day, especially in the state's rural counties, where healthcare is sparse and addiction treatment is practically non-existent. Tennessee used to be the heart of Southern charm, country music, and good living. But in 2025 many of its cities feel more like survival zones. Before we reveal what state is next on this list, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit that like button and share this video with someone living in one of these states. The more people know what's really going on, the better chance they have to protect themselves. Now let's move on, because what's happening in the next state will leave you stunned. Number 4. California. Wildfires, turning towns to ash, rent-swallowing paychecks, and a ticking earthquake time bomb. California may look like the land of sunshine and surf, but in 2025 it's a pressure cooker ready to blow. Entire neighborhoods in Northern California have already been wiped out by wildfires this year alone. Flames are racing faster than emergency alerts can warn people, with residents given minutes or less to evacuate, and it's not just nature wreaking havoc. The cost of living here is brutal. In cities like San Francisco and Los Angeles, people with full-time jobs are living in their cars. Median rent in major metro areas has skyrocketed past $3,000 a month. Even tech workers are fleeing the state, but here's what most don't realize. California sits on one of the most dangerous fault lines in the world. Scientists say the big one isn't a matter of if, it's when, and when that hits. We're not talking about inconvenience. We're talking about collapsed freeways, widespread blackouts, and chaos. So here's the question that should stop you in your tracks. Can you build a stable life in a place where fire, debt, or an earthquake could erase everything overnight? Then there's the homelessness crisis. Over 170,000 people across the state are now unhoused, and major cities are struggling with public safety, sanitation, and humanitarian emergencies. Tents line sidewalks, underpasses, and city parks, and while some officials promise solutions, others are slashing services, leaving communities on edge and worsening water shortages, power grid stress and a constant battle over what should be fixed first. And you've got states spinning plates with one hand while the other's already on fire. California might still be beautiful, but its beauty sitting on a fault line. Before we reveal the next state at risk, do us a favor, hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like and share it with someone dreaming of golden sunsets without seeing the smoke behind them. What's next on the list? A state that's sinking literally and running out of room to hide. Keep watching. Number 3, Florida. Supercharged hurricanes skyrocketing insurance costs, and cities slowly sinking into the sea. Florida isn't just at risk in 2025. It's in full-blown survival mode. Just this year, a Category 5 hurricane flattened entire neighborhoods along the Gulf Coast, causing over $80 billion in damages. Recovery still ongoing, thousands are displaced, and that's not the exception. It's the new normal. Meanwhile, home insurance premiums in Florida have gone absolutely insane. Some families have seen rates triple, while others have been dropped entirely. And what happens when you can't insure your home? You either walk away or roll the dice and hope the next storm skips you. Spoiler alert, it probably won't, and here's the kicker. Florida is literally sinking. Sea levels are rising faster than predicted, and cities like Miami and Tampa are now seeing flooding. On sunny days, salt water is pushing into drinking water supplies, roads buckle, septic systems fail, and entire communities are scrambling to elevate homes or abandon them altogether. So ask yourself, can you build a future on land that might not even exist in 20 years? Add to that the soaring cost of living, increasing heat waves and overcrowded emergency rooms, especially during hurricane season, and Florida feels less like paradise and more like a pressure cooker. And if you're thinking you'll just move inland, think again. Cities like Orlando and Gainesville are now overburdened, with infrastructure struggling to absorb the population surge from fleeing coastal residents. And here's a growing concern. Nobody's solving the exodus of critical workers, teachers, nurses, and emergency responders are leaving the state in droves, pushed out by low wages and high living costs. That means slower emergency response, overfilled classrooms and healthcare wait times that could cost lives. Florida may still be pretty on a postcard, but up close, the cracks are showing. Number 2, Texas. Flash floods turning highways into rivers, a grid that still can't be trusted, and cities bursting at the seams. Texas isn't just big, it's buckling under its own weight. In 2025, parts of the Lone Star State are facing record-breaking chaos. In just one July weekend, over 130 people died in the Hill Country after historic flooding swept away entire neighborhoods, and this wasn't a freak event. It was one of 6 major floods in just 4 months. But the water isn't the only thing rising. The population boom is creating pressure everywhere. Roads are clogged, housing is unaffordable, and emergency services are stretched so thin some cities are begging retired officers and paramedics to return just to keep up. Still think Texas is the land of opportunity. Let's not forget the elephant in the room. The power grid. After the infamous 2021 winter freeze, you'd think lessons were learned. But in 2025, blackouts are still happening in the middle of summer, while temperatures soar past 110 degrees, families are sweating it out in the dark. While politicians argue over patchwork fixes, that's not a future. It's a warning. So the question becomes, can you really trust a state where your power could fail? Your street could flood, and your ER might be full all on the same day. And then there's the cost. From Houston to Austin, homeowners are watching insurance premiums spike or vanish entirely in flood-prone zones. Some properties are now uninsurable. Developers keep building, but no one's talking about where the water will go when the next storm hits. Texas is proud, loud, and resilient, but even the toughest can get knocked down, and if you're thinking about planting roots there in 2025, you might want to ask what kind of ground you're standing on, because in some areas it's literally washing away. Number 1, Mississippi. Poisoned water, failing schools, and poverty so deep it's swallowing entire towns. Mississippi isn't just struggling, it's unraveling. In 2025, Jackson's water crisis still isn't fixed. Residents have gone days, sometimes weeks, without clean drinking water, pipes burst, faucets run brown, children bathe in bottled water, and no one's held accountable. But here's the part that's hard to say out loud. That's not the only system broken in this state. Mississippi has the highest poverty rate in the nation. Entire communities are surviving on scraps, while lawmakers argue over scraps of funding. Small towns are hollowing out, main streets sit abandoned, local economies are stuck in the past and without new industry, young people are fleeing fast, leaving behind aging populations with little access to healthcare, transportation, or opportunity. And the education system flatlined. The state ranks dead last in public education performance. Some schools don't even have enough teachers, textbooks, or working air conditioning. In 2024, multiple districts face state takeovers after years of dysfunction. It's a crisis that's growing but barely being covered. So here's the question: what happens to a state when even the basics, clean water, decent schools, steady jobs, can't be guaranteed? Even emergency response is in shambles. In many counties, there aren't enough EMTs to respond to accidents on time. Rural hospitals are shutting down, and crime, while not the highest in the nation, is quietly creeping upward, especially in areas where poverty and hopelessness collide. The worst part, Mississippi's struggles have become so normalized that few outside the state even raise an eyebrow anymore, but to the people living through it, it's not normal. It's survival. Mississippi is rich in history, culture, and resilience, but that can only take a place so far when the infrastructure, economy, and public services are falling apart. America's cracks are showing, and some states are already slipping through. If this shocked you or opened your eyes, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe for more raw, unfiltered content. Like if you learned something new, and share this video before someone else makes a life-altering move. Blind.